We are thrilled about the win. TCU's hard to beat. They're always hard to beat, and what it means. The 10th win, get to play in the Big 12 championship game here in a couple of weeks, which is significant. Obviously, it's a big deal. Winning 10 games, getting to play for your conference championship is huge. Right now, it's all our focus is going to go towards to Bedlam, to Oklahoma State, going into Stillwater with a lot of goals intact, man, and it's exciting. And I still know our best ball's out there, and our team feels like that too, and we're gaining on it, and we're going to go work our tails off and try to put it all together.
John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down! Ready, down, set, hut!
Hit me! Booyah! That's what we call a sacked lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carrie, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
All right, welcome back. It is the Eskridge Lexus Postgame podcast show, and it is late, about 2 a.m. in the morning here, and we are coming back from covering OU's 28-24 victory over TCU in Norman. I believe it was in Norman. We're in Norman this week. Boy,
thank God.
I don't know what we saw tonight. It seems like you're gonna see something weird this week. We're not gonna tell you what it is, but it's gonna be totally different and more weird than what you saw the week before.
You've covered the team for 20 years, right? Is that accurate?
This is the 20th year. Yeah.
20th year. Happy anniversary.
On a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
20th anniversary, I guess.
That's why I'm ready to get out of this goddamn business.
Have you experienced back-to-back weeks of what this team has been through and what we've watched over the last basically month as far as the most schizophrenic team in the entire country? If you say that you have an idea about this 2019 Oklahoma football team and we're 11 games in, you're lying. Like, I don't know where to even begin with so many question marks. Their good is really good, like really good. See first quarter. But their bad is so ugly. I can't put words into it.
I'll tell you this. There have been some odd seasons. I mean, there have been all the championship run seasons. I mean,
sure, nothing
tops the 2000 season.
Sure.
Where you have Red October, you have Kansas State, Nebraska, Texas A&M, all that stuff. Just, I mean, we were talking about that the other day about Texas. We were talking about this today, actually, like, how many times have you ever seen like one of the greatest moments in OU football history in Norman? Because I don't know if you guys saw that thing circulating today, Lee Morris's dad having the block for the Keith Jackson reverse against Nebraska.
Yeah.
Like, there are so few of those moments that people remember and cherish from Norman. Like, miraculous. Like, it always happens on the road somewhere.
It's been a product of their success, hasn't it?
I think
basically over the last, since you've been covering it, as far as every home game for 15 years was an ass kicking.
Nebraska in 2000 was a historic moment.
Sure.
They tore down the goalpost, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
And they got down, 14-0 in that game and had to come back, and it was really weird and all that stuff. But it was a celebration. It was, oh my God, I can't believe this. Like, that was innocence lost for most people because they'd gone through John Blake and
it was a statement of Oklahoma's back on the map.
Right. And it was, everything about it was, and they were undefeated. Like, before they went and killed Texas that year, they barely survived Kansas at home.
Yeah.
And Kansas threw the ball all over the place on them. It was insane. And everybody thought, this team sucks. This defense sucks. They're doomed. And then they go and beat Texas. What was that, the 63-14 game? And then they run the table. And so that is, I mean, that's the craziest season. But then you have like the 05 team where they just suck. They just go from national championship to national championship to lose to TCU to start the season.
First game of my freshman year
to UCLA, get their butts kicked out there. They finally kind of get it together, and they beat Oregon in the Holiday Bowl. And then there's 2014, which is just a disaster. I mean, beating Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, probably outside of winning the national championship, the most surprising thing that's ever happened that I covered at OU. Nothing else really compares to that from a non-national championship bowl game perspective.
That's probably fair.
And it's also why I thought Texas was going to suck this year, because they did the same thing.
Sugar Bowl, the kiss of death.
OU
Win a
beat
Sugar Bowl, your
Alabama,
team's
and
gonna
then
be shitty.
2014, the program almost got shuttered. I mean, they fired Josh Heupel, they fired Jay Norvell, they fired Bruce Kittle. It was just awful.
Well, if you want to wrap it into 2014, I believe tonight was the lowest passing effort that Oklahoma has had since
Trevor Knight or Cody Thomas.
Since that Clemson Russell Athletic.
That was
2014.
Trevor.
It just
11 completions.
But that was a completely inept offense that had no chance of doing anything. Like tonight you come away with being able to say, man, this offensive line is really good, and man, Kennedy Brooks can really run the ball, and if Jalen Hurts can just hold on to the ball, he's really good running the football too.
If I would have told you guys before the game, OU's going to double up on time of possession, rush the ball for 366 yards, hold TCU to 204 yards, 65 through the air, and Jalen Reagor was going to have one reception for 9 yards, what do you think the score would have been?
If you ever told me anything that Alex Grinch would come in here and coach a defense that allowed 65 yards passing in a game, I would have said, you're full of shit. Get out of here. Go smoke some more meth.
Well, if I was smoking meth, it would have been like, what do you think about it?
No, but I mean, they actually had double the rushing yards that they did passing yards. They had 65. What, 139? Was that what the passing yards were? I'm even looking.
Yeah, it ended up being 24. No, the passing yards was 65. TCU passed for 65 yards.
No, rushing yards. They have 130. Was
139
rushing?
139,
Okay.
65, 204, and that's the lowest total allowed by an Oklahoma team since 2017.
I mean, Max Duggan was 7 of 21 with one interception.
I know that
for 65 yards.
I'm sure the fans want us to come on here and just kill OU for the way that they played, only winning by 4, but does it boil down to turnovers? Just don't turn the ball over.
Yeah, that's all.
And you
That's
win
it.
comfortably.
Don't give a 98-yard interception return for a touchdown.
Oh,
I mean, my
God.
God, and you kick a field goal there and it's 31-17 and
Sure.
you're like, this looks, but no, it's 28-24 because you threw a 98-yard interception for a touchdown.
They had the fumble inside the 10. I
Yeah,
mean, those are
again.
2 touchdowns right there knocking on the door.
Was I the only one that was kind of like when you saw Jalen Hurts running it inside the 10-yard line?
Don't fumble.
Yeah.
It's like, he's come from behind.
Well, he didn't fumble. The guy just took it away from him.
He just straight up took. I told Carrie before the postgame started, Bob. It was like watching a basketball game, and the trailing defender's coming, and he's going to knock the ball loose from a point guard, and you see it coming, and there's just nothing you can do about it, and it certainly happened. And credit Oklahoma defensively, though. I mean, they came up, and when they needed plays tonight, they made them. Ronnie Perkins had the sack there. That was probably the loudest I've heard the stadium this year.
Yeah.
For that series down in the south end zone.
After
and then
he turned it over. And they got the 3 and out.
After the turnover.
Yeah, I mean, they had two drives. TCU could have driven to take the lead. It's a 3 and out, and it's a pick.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Alex Grinch been preaching.
Here is Lincoln Riley talking about Jalen Hurts and the turnovers. I believe Garen Emig from the Tulsa World asking the question.
Ball security, I mean, that falls directly to Jalen. He's had the picks and he had the fumble. Like you just mentioned them stripping him. Is that, I know you're going to say you're not concerned or alarmed, but there comes a point where he's got to be better.
No, I'm not going to say I'm not. We don't have to do better with that. I mean, a guy that's handling the ball, making as many decisions as he makes, you don't want to obviously have the one down there in the red zone. I'll be interested to see the interception because I did feel like that we slipped a little bit on the route, and I'll be interested to see how much of it was that and how much of it was maybe the decision to throw. I didn't have a great vantage point of it. So, other than that, he was pretty clean through the game. Missed a couple of throws. One of the first games that he just missed a few throws down the field that could have really busted the thing open. And and they were all just, long by just a tad bit. So he was just a little bit off on some of the deep balls. Ran the ball extremely well. He's got to do a better job putting it away. This one was different. It was a breakaway, which can be one of the toughest ones because so many guys don't want to run with it tight in that scenario because they feel like it does slow them down a little bit, and just didn't see the guy coming up on him. I think he thought he was cruising in, and so we need him to do better with it. He's doing a ton of things well. I thought his understanding of the run game and then how we wanted to attack them in the throw game was. He did some really good things. He didn't get paid off for all of them, but I could see some of the progress in him taking and understanding what we want him to do. So new challenges each week. That's part of how this thing goes, and we're getting better, and he's doing a great job and leading us to victories, and hopefully he can lead us to a few more.
And as Lincoln said, he missed some wide open shots.
Rambo.
That throw to Rambo, that is made, what do you think?
It's got to be made
7.8% of the time the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Maybe even 99%. You just don't miss that. You can't miss that play. And those are the
he had
plays.
About 4 of those that he missed.
And I know that the regular season's obviously running out. Only one more game left, but you have the Big 12 championship, what they qualify for tonight. But those are the types of plays. If you don't make them against a really good team, they get you beat.
Trevor
the
Lawrence
fumbles
makes
get you
those.
beat. Absolutely. Mac Jones makes that.
Joe Burrow makes those.
Makes that.
Justin Fields makes that.
Everybody does. That's up. It's crazy to me. And by the way, Oregon got beat tonight out in the desert. So the door opens even more for Oklahoma in the playoffs and all that. But at the same time, it's funny that the defense has gotten better. It's gotten to the point of what I think everybody wanted when Alex Grinch came in. But at the same time, I don't think that there's anybody out there right now that could honestly tell you that Oklahoma can play with that upper echelon group. And we saw Ohio State today take care of Penn State. Obviously, LSU beat the shit out of Arkansas because Arkansas is like an 8th grade football team.
Orgeron said you don't celebrate beating Arkansas.
That's what he said.
Yes.
That's the most disrespectful thing I've heard all day.
That's pretty good.
There's nobody, I don't think, out there that honestly truly believes that this team in a way can play with those guys, but at the same time, they might have that opportunity if you win in Stillwater and
there's got to be a
Arlington.
14. There has to be a 14.
It's crazy. It's
and it wasn't Georgia the way they played today.
But then again, if OU plays the way they did in the first quarter, I think they can.
As much as nothing has seemingly been falling OU's way the last couple of weeks, everything fell for OU today.
Sure.
Iowa State won. Texas, lost, but they lost to Baylor. Oklahoma State won. Oregon lost. The only other thing that could happen is Utah lost, and they didn't.
The crazy thing is Oklahoma has 2 games that you know of on their schedule right now.
Washington
it's
beat
going to be
Colorado. That actually helps OU.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or Colorado beat Washington.
Colorado beat Washington, so that takes away Utah's quote-unquote quality win. But OU, on their schedule left, they have a top 25 road game and probably
maybe a top 10
matchup in the Big 12 championship. And it's wild the way this whole thing
Ohio State's the only other team I think that has that.
Top 25 and then a top 10.
And then a top 10, possibly.
With Minnesota, who, it could be argued that game's going to be interesting next week in Minneapolis. I think Wisconsin goes up there for the winner take all. We'll go to the
you got it. Yep.
To the Big Ten championship. So I just
Penn State didn't. They didn't falter. Ohio State didn't.
But you know what they
blow
did?
Them out today.
They took advantage of turnovers.
Yeah,
and turnovers just completely turn games around. It's insane. I think that OU obviously they could very easily have lost the last 3 games. I don't think there's any doubt. Easily.
Here's where I think, and I even heard radio guys kind of confused about the game tonight, and I'm sure there are fans out there confused. But I think a lot of people feel like because OU ran so much today, they lost. It somehow taints the reputation of Oklahoma as an offensive power or something.
They had to revert to running. They couldn't pass.
Well, not so much like that. Just it's almost like they're saying, what happened to Lincoln Riley? Like what happened to the play caller that used to be Lincoln Riley? It's like it's formed all these questions. Look, they just ran it at will. So, I mean, that's what they continue to... Just be lucky you have a coach that's offensive-minded, that loves to throw the ball around, that is willing to just say, you know what? It's in our best interest to run the ball as much as possible today. Like, what's wrong with just saying that?
They ran the ball for 366 yards against Gary Patterson,
who was 24th in rush defense coming in.
It's funny. Everybody was wondering if Lincoln Riley going to run the ball when they hired him way back in 2015. That was I need to find it, but OU has rushed for at least 300 yards in a game for the fourth time.
And by the way,
it was the most rushing yards since 2015.
What did we spend after the first 7 games? All we talked about was they need to get the running backs more involved. Like,
sure.
Jalen's running it too much. He's taking away the running back carries. And now Lincoln Riley is going out and running Kennedy Brooks to establish the start of every game, and people are bitching that he's not passing the ball on first down. It's like, I cannot believe. I guess I can believe. But look, here's Lincoln Riley.
They fumbled the ball twice inside the 10-yard line. Yeah. Or, fumbled once and threw an interception.
Yeah.
That's 14 points.
Well,
and one of them was a legitimate 14-point swing with the pick
21
6.
points, basically. Yeah. Yes.
Sure.
Here is Lincoln Riley talking about just running the ball today.
We just honestly didn't need to throw it that much. I mean, honestly, we ran it so well. And, some of it had to do with what TCU was doing. Some of it just had to do with, we were just running it great. I mean, Jalen was running it great. Ramondre, Kennedy. Thought our offensive line was as consistent with their job and as probably as physical as we've been all year. And, the running game was so good. I mean, you just felt like, we're getting chunk plays out of it. We're moving the ball. We're controlling the clock. And the one disappointing thing in the run game is not getting paid off, with the points that we probably should have gotten, obviously. And so, you got to do better. That's the name of the game. But I'm very encouraged. And being able to run the ball well this time of the year matters. And probably our best rushing performance of the year. And that's exciting, certainly going forward into these next challenges.
I was trying to look this up. So, OU, Jalen Hurts, the quarterback, and Kennedy Brooks, they combined for 322. 322 yards.
Yes.
As a tandem. I was looking. I didn't get lost in there.
322 on what? 53 carries. Mm-hmm. 53 carries.
I was curious,
Hurts
what
and
Chuba
Kennedy
Hubbard
Brooks
did against him. So Spencer Sanders and Chuba Hubbard 39 carries for 301 yards. But Chuba Hubbard had 223, which is a little more than Jalen Hurts had. Well, he had the loss. So yeah,
it's just,
he had more than both of them, but
I don't know what do you walk away thinking that OU played better defensively than the offense, not sucking, but turning the ball over? Like, do the turnovers outweigh what OU did defensively?
Well, they shouldn't have anything to do with one another. That's the thing. It's like they gave up 204 yards of total offense. They gave up 17 points. They got 7 points because they returned an interception, 98 yards for a touchdown. The defense didn't have anything to do with that.
Sure.
So they gave up 204 yards. Here's the thing that impressed me most is
not to mention that they were able to get off the field with a field goal before halftime,
right?
Which I thought was big again.
And when Jalen Hurts did fumble the ball inside the 10-yard line, which granted they were deep in their own. TCU was deep in OU's territory, but the defense still went out there, kicked their ass, took it and ran 3 plays, got the ball back, and made them punt. Like, that's not the defense we're used to seeing at Oklahoma.
This 3-and-out takeaway mentality that they started in practice a couple weeks ago. 1 of 9 on third down for the Frogs. It's whatever they're doing, it's actually working. It's getting that's instilling in them exactly what Grinch has been looking for, is that sense of urgency every single play you're out there.
Well, and here is Alex Grinch after the game talking about adversity and just how his team is handling that better.
You said, I remember, after the Kansas State game, you said everybody's got to handle adversity better, and you just said, give me all the, give me all you can give me. Do you feel like you see these last two games, like since that Kansas State game, does that give you kind of that sense of accomplishment as a coach, like, okay, we're starting to handle adversity?
Well, it does, and obviously you're in the results business, so you can only go so far down that dark road of adversity. Again, you're in the business of winning football games, but I'll say this: you either believe in adversity or you don't. There's really no middle ground, and so you get and what's so critical about it is that you use it the right way. And again, coaches, and I guess I'll speak specific to myself. I'm a little bit different that way. Like I get like that is a driving force that gets you awfully excited to see those things. And again, everybody wants win the game 50-0 and all those things, and I'll take those too. But no, there's something to that. That's why you're in the business. That's also why they call you coach, is so that you can help guys maybe through some of those moments and learning experiences, all those things, and to see them, one, do it, then two, reap the benefits of it is it does excite you as a coach.
And I kind of alluded to this. This is, to me, what the expectation level of the OU defense has become. It has become, okay, the other team's going to score a lot, but we're going to score a lot too. Just don't let them score as many times as we score. That's not to dominate, not to go out there and create havoc and turnovers and sacks and tackles for loss and all that stuff. The flying around to the football, big hits, that wasn't the expectation. The expectation level was just get them off the field every once in a while. And now you're starting to see a defense that kind of gets pissed off, and they kind of go out there. Well, at least you did tonight. You go out there and you get a 3-and-out. As Lincoln Riley was talking about after the game, just the difference that he sees in the defense is that they actually want to get back out on the field after something bad happens.
Lincoln, there's so much talk and question about what you guys are defensively. When you look at that second half and Jalen's turnover and the turnover on downs and the way they responded, is that something different that you see from this defense that you haven't seen in the past?
Yeah, there's some really incredible resilience. I mean, you look at the stats, say you play pretty good defensively, say you play really good. But they don't even tell the whole story. The different adversities that came up defensively and how we were able to not only make a lot of stops, but make them in such key times. And I loved our defensive guys, to me, and I've always thought the best defenses have this. They were even excited after we would have a turnover or didn't get on fourth down. Like, they were excited to just get back on the field. It wasn't like, oh, the offense, didn't score, or they turned it over, they didn't get it on fourth down. Sometimes you see defenses go out there kind of taking the mood of, oh man, it was unsuccessful. Like, our guys were chomping at the bit, like they wanted to be back out there. They're probably pissed right now that they only got to play 45 snaps, which is awesome. I mean, that is, you guys got tired of me saying mentality. That's mentality right there.
Has this defensive mentality finally shifted? Has it changed? I mean, it's Parnell Motley's interception of the 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
Nick Bonito last week ending the Baylor game, and then Brendan Radley-Hiles ending the game tonight.
I don't know how you couldn't build confidence from what they've done over the last 6-ish quarters, for sure. And then obviously the way that the Iowa State game ended, and even in the first half of the Baylor game, it was a situation, more so about them just being put in terrible positions again.
Turnovers again.
Iowa State game was off.
I mean, it's kind of crazy, but we'll see. They're gonna get a heavy dose of the best running back in the country next week. We'll see if they're up to the challenge, and I think it starts up front. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that when they've played well, you're getting solid play out of Ronnie Perkins. You're getting a sack from a Jalen Redmond.
The way Redmond started tonight with the tip pass the first drive, the sack on the second, he set the tone, and before you knew it was 21-0 before you could even blink.
Well, and you even had a guy like a Kenneth Murray flying around that it is you can just tell, just being down there on the field, what him just flying around means to that defense as far as an attitude or playing off of their leader or whatever it is.
I'm just laughing at the sight
Eddie.
of JoJo picking his top 5.
You're going to be triggered pretty soon.
I mean, he'll probably have Texas in there or somebody.
Maybe he'll fit Texas A&M in there after their close loss today.
Where are they going to be ranked?
They better be in the top 25. They better be in the top 20.
Okay, so this is not a finished product team. We can't figure these damn guys out. I mean, it's almost impossible. I don't know what you're going to see in Stillwater next week.
Did you feel like they were closer tonight than maybe they were in the last couple weeks, just as far as, and I know you can't eliminate the turnovers. It's just impossible to do.
If not for the 62-yard run by Duggan, I would have felt like that defense kicked their ass up and down the field.
It would have been
been
the best performance, and it still might be one of the best performances in the last 5 years. Now that's probably telling you where this defense has been, but it was. I don't know. I think Dugan's going to be good when it's all said and done.
He's fast as shit.
He is very fast.
Holy
But
crap.
for a guy like
think
Jalen
the
Reagor to
reason-
only have one reception tonight is just crazy.
He doesn't seem to be gelling with that team. And I'll say this, Dugan, whatever, he didn't get any help tonight. He had a bunch of guys right in the chest. And
they just dropped him.
They dropped that touchdown.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they had to
the
do
long one.
field
That was a
goal.
hell of a throw.
Oh, I was talking about the one that
the short one
led to the field goal.
I don't know. Rager just kind of I don't know. Maybe it's the whole decommitment thing. Maybe I'm trying to read too much into it. He just seems like he's got an attitude problem a little bit.
They're a 5-6 football team.
He's probably not happy. And he's playing at OU, the place he could have gone.
Yeah. Well, probably had the better quarterback tonight. Maybe. The turnover thing, I think, is out of everything that we knew about Jalen Hurts coming in, I think that it's not the fact of him throwing interceptions. I could probably live with that. Like you guys said that CD, he fell down in the end zone.
He slipped a bit.
It looked like he was running a slant, I think, and he just slipped on the like everybody was doing tonight.
It's the unforced errors though are just they're shocking. There's no other way to say it. They're shocking.
You can't be that together off the field and then go on the field and make those mistakes, and you're just like, what the hell is happening?
Even on the touchdown that he scored in the third quarter, he fumbled it.
Yeah.
I mean,
he just crossed the plane.
It's weird. It is very strange.
I wonder if it's becoming a phobia, like if it's becoming a thing.
Yeah, like a mental thing.
Yeah.
For a guy that is that headstrong or whatever you want to call it, it's surprising and shocking that he can't hold on to the ball, and I mean that's a problem. That will get at some point. I told Carrie before you got here, Bob. At some point, like what's the cliche phrase as far as like you play with fire, you're going to get burned at some point, and they've been very lucky the last 3 weeks that it hasn't cost them.
And what's funny, it's not like he's gambling. It's not like he's trying to throw into a tight
No, it's just
win.
happening in the course of a game. Yeah,
a regular play, and it's like, what are you doing?
Just dropping the ball. I mean, if I was just dropped down on earth, I'd say he's shaving points to get Alabama into the playoffs.
Because you know what? I mean, you talk about that.
I'm obviously kidding.
You talk about that pick six. 2 plays before it, the pass is batted and should have been picked off anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me, Jared called him a Saban plan about through the third quarter.
That'd be pretty diabolical. I'd have to tip my captain Nick Saban.
He had a rough night tonight throwing the football. I mean, there's no doubt. The short stuff, he finally got it going a little bit, and he did pick up, some big first downs here and there. But like he said, Lincoln said, when he missed out on those big throws early, and when he missed out on Charleston Rambo, it's almost like Lincoln was like, okay, well, we're running the ball really well. Let's just not go for the big explosive plays. Let's just let Kennedy run the football.
He had no clue how to get Lamb back. We all wondered what CD, if he was going to play or not. And he was just a total non-factor. He still scored a touchdown. But 2 catches, 16 yards.
I'm not going to say he wasn't right, but it never felt like he was right, if you will. It was just strange for CD tonight.
I think Joey's trying to figure out how he can get Florida in his top 5 along with Georgia. LSU and Alabama.
He's probably trying to figure out how to use the goddamn screen.
Florida got in Wisconsin, but not
No,
Baylor?
those aren't their top sixes. Those are just at the bottom.
No, I know those are the choice. You can't even choose Baylor.
Oh, I see what
that
you're saying.
that was like that
Yeah.
this afternoon too.
2 lost teams that aren't even going to play for their conference championship.
No, Baylor, they're one loss.
They
they're
probably
done.
don't have a Baylor graphic.
I noticed that this afternoon during the
Okay.
halftime of the Oklahoma State game.
That's pretty funny.
Baylor's just not
Florida
even.
can't do anything.
Baylor's not even a football program right now.
Sorry.
It's crazy. It's disrespectful, is what it is.
I look. We're gonna find out maybe a lot next week in Stillwater.
Drew Brown. I don't know what Drew Brown brings to the table.
He was apparently really bad today.
He wasn't
against
good.
West Virginia.
He wasn't great. I watched
They're
most
not
of that.
getting Spencer Sanders back. We
No.
know that for sure.
No, that's.
I mean, no Sanders, no Wallace. This is a much different team than what we thought a month ago.
I mean, we'll talk about it throughout the week. We'll talk about it on the unofficial 40, but I would have to think that OSU figures out a way to try and get Jelani Woods. If they watch what Iowa State did with their big-bodied tight ends, like he's a perfect, or not a perfect matchup, but he's the anti-perfect matchup for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to get pressure on Drew Brown. If they can get pressure on him, I think that you can rattle the guy. And
I think,
we'll see.
it looked to me from what I watched that West Virginia did a pretty good, job on OSU's offensive line. I think that line's kind of hasn't it kind of fallen apart a little bit as the season's gone along?
Yeah, a little bit, and I think the Stills brothers are pretty good.
Yeah, they are. They like to talk. I know that. I saw that plenty.
The whole thing it's been a strange season.
OU's not a notable game next Saturday.
This goddamn TV network, I swear, like I've never been
Is it on Fox or
I've
something?
never been
It is on Fox.
anti-ESPN guy,
explains
but
But I mean, you've got Ohio State and Michigan
Clemson, South Carolina. Like they just picked every single team that's playing
on ESPN
except for OU.
because they're on Fox.
Michigan's starting to play a little bit better. That'll be an interesting game. Is that game in Ann Arbor next weekend?
Yes, it is.
Ohio State and Michigan?
11 o'clock.
Is Big Fox is their big noon kickoff or whatever? Is that going to be from Stillwater next week?
No, I think it's from Ann Arbor.
Probably
Okay.
Michigan.
Oh yeah, because they have that game.
Game day is going to Minnesota.
From Minnesota, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Michigan is playing a lot better.
Go Wisconsin.
So, outside of that, let's. Do we want to? Because I thought that this was going to be pretty squared away, and we'd have a pretty good idea of what we were going to do, and it was all going to work itself out. But it really didn't end up that way for this.
Eskridge Lexus is all about embracing the best. That's why they are the official travel partner of the Soonerscoop.com podcasts. So it's time for us to recognize the Sooners' best with our Eskridge Lexus Player of the Game.
All right, I want to remind you, good folks, that the people of Eskridge Lexus, they do a great job taking care of us throughout the year in our travels. Let us ride around in the lap of luxury, or the back seat of the lap of luxury if you're Eddie. But we've recently taken the smaller SUV, the NX, out, and those were great little rides if you're looking for something smaller than the full-size SUV. But a lot of great deals going on right now. They've got some 2019s left, but a lot of 2020s in stock too, and it's the year-end savings event with Christmas going on. But here's the thing. Go to EskridgeLexus.com or contact Ed Eskridge and let him know that you're a Big Scoop listener, subscriber, and they will get you a special deal. I'm not lying, a special deal on any Lexus that they've got in stock. And I've driven a Lexus for over 10 years now. Love them. Wouldn't drive anything else. Very little problems. You just get it, drive around in luxury. You don't have to worry about it breaking down. It's a great car. So EskridgeLexus.com. Thanks for their great support of the podcast, and hope you guys will support them if you're out there looking for a luxury car. So thanks to Eskridge Lexus. Okay, so go around the table. I'm just going to throw mine out there. It's not a player. It's the offensive line. I'm going to give some love to the offensive line today.
R.J. Proctor starting in place of Eric Swinson, who didn't even suit out, by the way, today.
Yep.
you guys would be able to tell me from up there, it seemed like pretty good overall. I mean, I don't know how you can bitch and complain about an offensive line that helped rush for 366 yards.
I think the main thing is that we're starting to see, you're starting to see, Tyrese Robinson and Creed Humphrey and Marquise Hayes really all play together. Marquise Hayes probably that guy that's starting to just become a dog. Like, he's starting to become that guy that's going to be the national, spotlight player. He might become kind of the poster boy for the OU offensive line the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think so. He was banged up a little bbit, too, I forgot what play it was. It looked like he was dealing with a knee or an ankle injury, but he stayed in the game, obviously. It wasn't that big of a deal, but he's a massive, massive human.
He is so big. And he's such a nice guy, too. When you see him in a football uniform now, you're like, he looks kind of scary, but I know he's nice.
He's one of those guys I think that will always have some type of connection to just because of the way that he came across everybody's radar at the Rivals camp in Kansas City. So,
if you bring that up to him, it's like we talked to him on video about a month ago.
Yeah.
He gets a little glimmer in his eye.
That gave him his opportunity, basically.
He likes us. He really likes us.
Put him on the map. You're welcome.
Bob,
we need to get cut in on the NFL contract.
Yeah, no kidding. Bob, who are you going with for your Eskridge Lexus player of the game?
I will go Kennedy Brooks, not only for the 149 rushing yards, but because, man, he was just as effective as the lead blocker for Hurts time and time again. And I actually wondered, as I was going down the elevator, radio was talking about Brooks' shoulder being hurt. I don't know if you saw that.
He came out on it was during the fourth quarter on one of those final drives. He came out after a Jalen Hurts draw up the middle.
That he was a blocker
and
again.
He was the blocker, but he came back in, if I remember correctly.
Because that's why Stevenson had
maybe he didn't.
Couple runs.
I saw him after the game, though, and he was high-fiving. You were standing right there with me.
And he did the post-game interview, so he's all right, because wouldn't have been allowed if there was something wrong. So Brooks gets it, because when it got to 21-17 and they needed to get a score, they went on the ground. Brooks, I think, started like a 30-yard run, and it's like, oh, okay, breathe again. It's going to be a 2-score game here very shortly.
He was fantastic, and like I said, the other thing tonight that Braden Willis's catch in the end zone, by the way,
that was awesome.
That was one of the best catches of the year. But they went with Willis and Jeremiah Hall a ton tonight.
They wanted to go big.
It was almost 50-50 that they went big tonight. Maybe more so. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
did Theo Weiss get many snaps tonight?
Man,
Hazelwood got some until he fumbled.
Listen, I think that everybody kind of knew in the back of their mind that was bound to happen. Hazelwood had himself a rough night. He had he got into a little bit of a scuffle after the play.
Yeah.
Immediately came out, and Dennis Simmons coached him when he got to the sidelines. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah. Yep, watched it.
And he came back in, and you can't fumble right there. You can't fumble during that moment of the game. It's going to be a learning.
Plus, you're
I
out
would
there
imagine
on the
we talked to him,
so nobody else is around. That TCU guy just jumped right on top of it.
I would imagine that we'll talk to him in 2 years or something, and that would be one of those games. It's like, that was part of my learning experience, was fumbling and
had it in the wrong.
Not being able
had it in the wrong hand.
Is that what it was?
Not the outside.
He had it on the inside.
He had on inside hand.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, you feel like this team is so close to putting it all together, and then they don't.
I'm sure the receivers were a little disappointed because they come out of that Baylor game and they're thinking, okay, we got this passing game stuff figured out. Jalen's he's gonna distribute the ball more evenly and equally to people, and then the passing game just takes a complete backseat.
Yeah. Jeff Gladney, the best corner in the conference, according to Josh, missed the first half because of the targeting last week.
Right.
And you didn't even notice it because they didn't get anything done.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, when Gladney comes back, they're really not going to get much done, and they just didn't.
Yeah. Well, moving forward, Bedlam to go 11-1 next week. Eddie said this after the game. He doesn't know if the OU fan base has ever been less happy to be 10-1 right now.
You hear from Lincoln too. Sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I realize the position that a lot of Oklahoma fans are. They, in a way, are still a little bitter that I don't even know if bitter is the right word. It's a very weird, like they're 10-1. It should be celebrated. They're in line to go play for a 5th straight Big 12 title. You got the playoffs still out there. Basically, kind of, you're knocking at the door now with the happenings in the Pac-12, and it doesn't feel like it. It feels like this team is 7-4 or 8-3 or something. I can't.
It's weird.
As weird as it is to try and explain what the fan base is right now, it's even weirder to try and explain what this team is. I have no idea. Like, you could tell me that they're going to go up and get beat by 3 touchdowns in Stillwater, and you could tell me that they're going to win by 3 touchdowns in Stillwater. I could make a legitimate argument and probably believe that argument on either side of it.
I don't get the malaise or whatever you want to call it.
Well, if you want to just boil it down to the center, to the root of the problem, it's a spoiled fan base. And that's what it is. I know that people will be offended by that, but it's a spoiled fan base.
Yeah, and
you're 11-1.
There's not really anything to, there's not a win at Ohio State. There's not anything to kind of, take, bump your chest out about.
Sure.
There's not. But you know what? The stuff that's happening out there, it's kind of like, I don't understand why fans aren't out there, more banging the drum about why is Utah ranked ahead of us. Because I think that would be a good drum to bang.
I think a little bit of that is just kind of a, I don't know. Do you think that Oklahoma's lack of success in the college football playoff has people tentative as far as
probably
not wanting to buy into an idea that they just haven't been good enough over the last couple years? And obviously it's because of the defense. But it's just the storylines in this entire thing are interesting for the fact that it's like they would kill to have a Baker or a Kyler at quarterback right now, but those teams last year would kill to have a defense like this.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, you can tell you can tell Lincoln right now is kind of like, I mean, the message I got from him tonight was, look, we're 10-1. We want to, if we get a shot at this thing, we want our shot. Like, we're not going to turn down a shot. Like, we want to break down the door. We want to go. We'll play anybody. Just give us that chance. I mean, that's his attitude.
As dumb as it sounds, LSU might be the only matchup they might have a legitimate shot because the Tigers' defense has not shown up throughout most of the season.
The whole thing's weird.
Weird.
I have no idea.
I don't know. If North Carolina can take Clemson to overtime, and
I think Clemson's pretty good.
I think Clemson's gotten better.
Whatever Oklahoma can do to avoid playing Chase Young, because I think that RJ Proctor or whoever that he went up against would have to file a restraining order before the game just to avoid that problem. It just...
Unless they did what Baylor did and put Lynch on Adrian Ely for the whole game, then you might have a fighting chance.
Yeah. I just... Like Nate and I were talking down on the sidelines. It just... The whole thing, I can't remember. It's what we opened with. I can't remember a 3 weeks in which Oklahoma has won and the momentum swings, the emotions in the game have just been so up and down. I mean, it's been fun. From a entertainment standpoint, it's been great.
Let me throw this out at you. I mean, maybe it's this. Maybe it is that people are so down on the Big 12 that they can't accept that actually these teams are difficult to beat.
Oh, well, I'm
struggling with.
of course.
I think that there's a lot of that nationally, just as far as, I don't think that any team in the conference is just complete shit.
No, but I mean, like we said, Iowa State is not.
Maybe Texas.
Iowa State's not going to let you beat the hell out of them.
No.
OSU's not going to let it either. TCU won't. I mean, it's just undoable. Well, maybe Clemson could do it. Ohio State could do it.
I think the upper echelon teams would completely run through them, but the whole thing has been it's been strange.
So what we've decided is OU's not upper echelon, and everybody should feel as pissed off as they are.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing is like I completely understand that why the fans are so upset. I completely understand. I mean, we're sitting in here and talking about it as well. It's just like,
I do think that those are the people that are demanding Spencer Rattler play immediately. Like he would just fix, like the people that feel like we don't have a chance because we don't have Baker or Kyler. Like if you put Spencer in there, we do have a Baker or Kyler. The problem with that, he's a true freshman. He's never played at this level before.
Which when it was 21-0, I thought we were headed to a New Wave 19 game. I was like, all right, these guys are going to get a lot of run.
Yeah.
Spencer has got a game to kill or two. It's time. Like, nope. They just didn't get that token blowout.
I never thought that. I never thought they were going to blow out
They
TCU
didn't get the token blowout throughout the second half of the season.
I mean, statistically, it just, if you look at the statistics, if you compare them to each other, like, and then you realize it was a 4-point game, it's just insane.
It is. That's what happens when you throw a pick six.
A pick six, you fumble inside the 10.
Yeah.
Like, I think it just literally comes down to your most experienced player turning the ball over at a rapid rate.
2 turnovers killed that game.
Sure.
I mean, and it might have, the max might have been 34-17, but still, that's a hell of a lot different than 28-24.
Got to clean it up.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get beat at some point. Whether it be next week or in Arlington, you're going to get beat if you keep turning the ball over. They've been extremely lucky over the last 3 weeks to...
The thing is, I think they're so much better than Baylor. Because they did play shitty, and they got down 31-10, and they still came back and won like it was nothing.
I'm wondering about Brewer because that shot against Texas was nasty.
Yeah, and
I didn't see it.
You're 2 weeks out, so I mean, maybe he doesn't play next week. They should still beat Kansas.
They should beat Kansas,
which, Kansas kind of pushed Iowa State a little bit today. Is that game? That game's in Lawrence too, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't know.
That'd be the worst if Baylor loses to Kansas and is 10-2.
Pulled that upset, that would make he might die in the post.
If Bob Bowlesby had any balls, he'd call Les Miles and say, "Les, I know you're a new first year head coach. But you got to do the conference a solid. You got to tank this game. They need a top 10 matchup in Arlington." I'm maybe more excited than I am in a long while for Bedlam and for these next 2 weeks, just for the fact that I have no idea what to expect.
I'm going to tell you, OSU fans are going to get jacked up for this thing by the time it comes.
I've talked to a couple of my buddies tonight.
Their chance to ruin OU season and get Chuba to New York.
Sure.
Like, that is all they need.
Sure. It's going to be a great atmosphere. I mean, OSU, when they're 2-9 or 3-8 or whatever, you go up there, you're expecting it to be a game.
It's 12-7 in 2000.
I think we've all seen enough Oklahoma State games, too, to know that Drew Brown will play well next week. There will be guys open. Right?
I don't know. I just haven't seen enough of him.
I don't know outside of Stoner, who's really kind of become...
He had some really bad throws today.
Yeah. Well, West Virginia put some pressure on him, and I mean, the first half was awful.
It did feel like OU got back to being active up front on defense today.
Yeah.
Even though they were only rushing 3, which was about to drive me crazy.
I thought Ronnie Perkins, Neville Gallimore, and Jalen Redmond played pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. I have no idea what to expect, though. To say that you do, I think you're a goddamn liar.
Well, I GD'd it and you GD'd it, so we're both in trouble with the Catholics.
I'm going to Mass in the morning. No big deal.
Yeah, see, I told people, like, you probably go to church more than we do. All right, that's going to do it. I'll let you guys go and go to bed. I'll do the same, but not before I get the podcast up. So that's it for this season for home games for Oklahoma.
Crazy.
28-20. We do all this shit all the way from August to now, and that's the final home game. I don't know how much this flew by since the Kansas State loss.
Listen.
This has been a grind. Yeah.
Oklahoma fans, you're being entertained. This is entertainment.
It is.
Gladiator meme.
Oh, by the way, I will say, too, that Grant Calcaterra leading the team out of the tunnel was
amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
Just his whole involvement and everything.
I was a little surprised Neville Gallimore got included in the Don Key, but it makes sense. I'm not complaining about it by any means.
At least it wasn't like 5 people.
Yeah.
I'm okay with 2.
Yeah, that's
Lee
fine.
Morris, Nick Basquith.
Yeah, well, I thought it was going to be every
everybody.
senior because they were out there standing by Don Key at the beginning.
It's crazy. They only had 11 guys out there.
Yeah.
Well, and 12, I guess, plus Calcaterra. But
All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Eskridge Lexus for doing what you do for us here on the post-game podcast. Thanks to Eddie and Bob for sticking up. It is way too late. It is almost 3 a.m.
It's the 3rd game in a row, and we'll do it a 4th.
Woo! But at least that Big 12 game is going to be at 11 a.m., so don't be bitching about that. All right, people? We're dying for you. We're taking years off our lives for you.
And you're leaving the stadium anyway.
Bob will probably go home to a crying baby.
at the end of the day, you're 11-1. You're going back to a Big 12 championship. You got a defense that somewhat looks like something that you can
It's improving.
You can call your own.
Yeah.
And
You cannot be ashamed. It's not something you're ashamed of.
I'll be damned if you don't have a chance to maybe go play for a college football playoff again. Which is, if you would have told me that during the middle of the second quarter in Waco, I would have wondered what Art Briles had done to you.
What family member does he have caged in a closet somewhere?
I was happy to see Mount Vernon get beat out of the playoffs, by the way.
Were they? I didn't even pay attention.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. This will really do it this time. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll see you back here after Bedlam next week on the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast.